so much for making time to do this interview with me. I'm just curious, what city are you in right now as we speak?
Right now, I'm in Toronto. I'm in my dorm at university here. I'm studying music. And thank you so much for having me today and speaking with me about this new song.
Are you kidding? Look, when I heard it, I thought to myself, man, you got a kind of R&B voice that would be like sort of 89, 96, 97 kind of thing. I could hear a little bit of, Aaliyah. I could hear a little bit of Janet Jackson kind of thing. Um,
Oh,
I'm just curious, and with the way things are, it's like, no, you're not supposed to ask this kind of question. But when people hear your voice and then they see you, do they go, "Oh my God, I thought you were black"?
I've gotten that once or twice, but I don't get that very often. I think that's the biggest compliment because a lot of my biggest influences are women of color, and I just think that they're all so amazing and beautiful. I actually have a huge Aaliyah poster right down my hall. I don't know, you can't really see it, but I'm a huge fan of Aaliyah, so you saying that means so much to me. My producer Louise and we listen to 90s R&B literally all the time. Like when we stop working on something and we go get lunch, we just put like Aaliyah or like Mariah Carey on in the background and jam out. So that means so much. Thank you.
You can hear the influence, and we're going to talk about this new single and, of course, upcoming new music. But I want to get the
Yes.
background story growing up because you
Mhm.
do have an old soul, and it's funny. And I always like to say this: not knocking the new artists of today, not. But
Mhm.
being an old guy like myself, I always feel like when it came to the singing and vocals, what you heard on the radio.
Mhm.
Um, Really, it was almost like up to the 90s was the last when you really heard that kind of voice of an artist that you would have thought immediately they came out of the church or they came out of
Right.
something like that.
Mhm.
Um, and the fact that you have that influence, where did the chops actually come from growing up? Where did you grow up? And where
Mhm.
did that start? When did the seed start to be planted before it started to grow?
Yeah, so this is a really great question. I grew up in Vancouver, British Columbia, born and raised, very proud to be from Vancouver. And my parents are very big music buffs, like huge music lovers. My dad he's a lawyer, but he's been playing in like a rock and roll cover band since he
Ah.
was in high school. And when I was younger, he used to pull me up on stage with him to like do background vocals and stuff. So he was always like a big music guy. He's also like a trained jazz pianist. So my parents put me in piano lessons when I was like 5 and dance lessons too. So I was always around music, doing music stuff. My brother is a huge music fan. He doesn't make music, but he knows about everyone before they're about to blow up. Like he knew about Charlie XCX before she was big, and like Pink Panthers, like more recently before she was big. So he's really awesome. And my mom is a writer, so she writes books. So I think that is where I get like my love of songwriting from. So that whole thing combined, all of those pieces of my family being huge music lovers, I think just fused into me. And they just always encouraged me to make music and be creative. And like, for example, we all have to come to the dinner table to eat together most of the time. But if I'm in my little home studio working on something, I can eat in there. So that's like the exception. So music was always the exception. Even if I had like homework or something, my parents would be like, finish your song and then do your homework.
Oh
So
my
absolutely,
god!
yeah.
Like, say that again. I want to make sure people understood what you just said.
Finish the song and then do your homework because they knew I would get further doing music than anything else. And my family is just the best. And that's where a lot of it comes from, is from them.
Now, just curious, did your friends think that you were a little weird? The fact that you would know like old school jazz artists and old school performers and things like that, where of course they would probably, and I'm only guessing, I don't know, I would want to say Backstreet Boys, but it would probably be One Direction or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was actually a One Direction fan myself. My brother would make fun of me a lot for that. But Yeah, my friends, they were always very supportive as well. When I was a little bit younger, it was hard to explain to people that I wanted to be a musician because in elementary school, like, it was always, "What do you wanna be when you grow up?" And it's like, "Oh, you can be whatever you want, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever." But when I said I wanted to be a musician, people were like, "You want to, wait, do you have any backups?" Like, so it was actually more the teachers at my elementary school who were a little weird about it. My friends were always really supportive, but I went to an arts high school, so that was that was where I got a lot of support too.
So, what is that like to go to an art school? Because for a lot of people, the only time they've ever seen it are the different movie versions of Fame. So, what is it
Mhm.
like? Is it like what we see in the films in the old 80s series, or is it different?
It's pretty different. I really thought I wouldn't have to do, like, math or science because I was like, "Oh, I'm going to art school, whatever." But, no, you still have to do all of that, and, that's important, I guess, but I think the main thing that comes out of art school is, like, the community you build, because you're meeting so many like-minded individuals, and it's just, like, it's so beautiful because you can collaborate with them. Like one of my best friends, shout out to Natalie, she went to the same high school as me and she was in the visual arts department and she designed the cover of one of my singles. So getting to like collaborate with different people who are passionate about arts is what art school is all about, I think. Yeah.
But did it ever, like I said, those scenes that we see where everybody's in a lunchroom and then somebody starts tapping and then somebody no, aw.
That never happened. I thought it was gonna be like High School Musical, but it wasn't.
Yeah, there you go.
It was not.
Exactly. Well, you know what? We can always make our own musicals wherever we go. So,
That's so
um,
true.
now because your dad understood the business, did he ever
Mhm.
sit you down because he could see the talent in you, he can hear the voice, he can see the songwriting and things like that? But that's just one aspect of the
Yeah.
industry. Did he ever sit
Mhm.
down and talk to you about the other aspect of the industry, which is truly, when I say the word business, business? Did he sit down and talk to you about
Yes.
that?
Yeah, so, both my parents, when I started working with this record label with 604 Records when I was 15, we talked a lot about, business and songwriting splits and, making sure you're getting paid for what you've written and all that, and actually, you would think it would be my dad who's the one who's talking about the business because he's, like, the lawyer guy, but my mom actually is the one who is my biggest supporter. She's like my Chris Jenner, like, momager. She's like, "Make sure you're going out there and you're getting what you deserve." So, yeah, she's was more of the one who sat me down and talked about that, and, she's like, "Molly, you have to make sure marketing is important, like, you have to present yourself with grace and, all that stuff." So she's been the one who's like, "Don't forget the business and the image side of it," which is really important for me because sometimes I just wanna make music and, like, hide. And she's like, "No, go shine."
That's the way it is. But I love how you just slid this in. Like, yeah, I'm with 604 when I was 15. And then I was like, wait a second, reverse that. 15 years old for me, I'm trying to get on the football team when I was young.
Right.
15 years old, you're signing for one of the best record labels that are out there. How did
Mhm.
you come together with 604?
So, actually, for years before I got signed, I was releasing music under my, like, first and last name, which is Molly Michelson, and then I just changed it to Molly Annelle, which is my middle name. Little exclusive fact for you. But but I released my first EP under Molly Annelle, which I had produced myself when I was 14, and it caught the attention of Jonathan Simkin, who is the head of 604 Records, because one of the songs randomly blew up. I didn't really have any team behind me at this point. Just one of the songs got like hundreds of thousands of streams on Spotify because it got on some playlist, which was really exciting for me. But it turns out that one of my dad's friends like kind of knew Jonathan Simkin and was like, my friend's daughter makes music. He's like, oh, I think I've heard it. And then we got a meeting with him, and it just, everything clicked so nicely, and the rest is history, I guess.
Again, you keep sliding these things in. Oh, I was producing songs when I was 14. Let's go back again.
Running
How
it
is
back.
this coming together? Like, are you building your own studio? Like, what is going on here for you to produce at 14?
So yeah, so I'll run it back a little bit to that part. I built a studio in my house when I was about 13. I had a bunch of money saved up, and I got like the bare bones of a studio, so mic and interface, some mixing monitors. I got a big computer. But before that, I'd actually been using Logic, which is the DAW I work
Yeah.
on, since I was 9. I got it when I was 9 because I was in a songwriting competition for the
Yes.
Vancouver Chamber Choir, and I was using Logic as like a means to score my song. And so just from there, I started to, produce little things, make beats, and I decided to face the big challenge of making something that would be good enough in my eyes to release. So yeah, when I was 13, 14, I really started to take producing seriously, and now I'm in school for it, which is awesome. So
I was going to
yeah.
say, what is the difference now for you? Because, I have to think generation. Because, what I did when I was younger is different from what you've done. But what you've done is
Mhm.
amazing. I mean, 9 years old and learning all this stuff. What do you think you've gained now from what you learned younger to what you're learning today?
Well, I think I'm really grateful that I got a bit of a head start when I was younger. I had a really supportive music teacher named Tasha who taught me everything I know now about like digital music production. And so a lot of those years was Tasha giving me bits and pieces and me just feeling it out by experimenting. But now that I'm here and I'm in classes specifically for producing, um, I'm just like I'm actually learning what these things are that I've been doing. I just didn't know what they were called. So yeah, it's really great, like getting to put names and words to just things I was just messing around with when I was younger.
You're still,
Hmm.
and I say this with respect when I say this, you're still growing up. How do you
Hmm.
handle a budding music career, family
Hmm.
life? You still have
Hmm.
school, and you
Yeah.
have friends, and you
Hmm.
have fans. How do you balance all that to make sure that out of all these aspects, you have the good and try to filter out the bad? For example, making sure that your
Hmm.
friends are your friends, not people who just want to hang with you because, hey, she's a star and she's doing all these things. Being able
Hmm.
to be a great representation to your fans, but at the same time, there are some fans that are a little lulu and having to deal with that. And then, of course,
Yeah.
making balance for your family too in
Hmm.
growing up and being on your own, but still respecting the things that they want to still be able to teach you.
Yeah, this is a great question because it is a lot sometimes to balance all of that. Um, but at the same time, I love music and I love my friends and I love my family, and I don't even think I have like fans. I just have people who like support my music, and so all of that, it just kind of feels natural because it's really nice and it makes me really happy. But also when the times do get tough, like maybe I'll get like a hate message like from like the little kind of crazy fan or crazy people. I do a lot of meditation and yoga. My
Ah,
mom is really into meditation and self-care, and she instilled that in me like growing up. Self-love and stuff, and how important that is. And life is just so much better when you really love yourself.
true.
So that is what got me through a lot of the crazy, complicated times when I'm like, I'm still a kid, but I also want to be a musician. Now that I'm 18, like I feel, and I'm living on my own in a brand new city, I feel like now's the best time to practice that, being your own best friend than ever, because you're right, especially out here, you don't know who your real friends are, but I think I can kind of tell because some people are just so genuine and you can see that. And so that's what I gravitate towards. And also, your vibe attracts your tribe, you know what I'm saying? So if you're putting out good things into the world and good energy to people, that's hopefully what you'll get back. And that's what I've been experiencing here, which is really great.
So here you are, you're signed with a great record label, you move to a new city, you're getting, you're looking at a new single to record, you've got all this good vibe happening. A really bad one kicks in for the next 2 years, COVID. How did
Yes.
COVID affect your career?
Oh God, it really took a knock to my everyday life because before COVID, I was doing a show a weekend. Like my favorite thing to do is perform live. Like being on stage is so much fun. So it was really difficult not being able to do that. But at the same time, I was able to finish my album during COVID. My last record I released, it took 3 years to make. So some of this vocals I tracked on that album are from when I was 15, and it came out when I was 17. So or 14. Oh my God. I was like math brain, 14. So it's kind of crazy that I was able to buckle down and finish the record because I wasn't in school as much, because school was kind of cut in half for social distancing purposes and stuff. So it definitely sucked not being able to perform, but it also provided an opportunity for me to really like hunker down and finish the album. Yeah.
Because we look at the world differently. I mean, in 2018, we looked at the world one way. COVID hit. Well, now
Mhm.
we look at the world a different way. Did that looking at things differently affect the way you wrote your songs from before COVID to during COVID?
Absolutely. I think for many years when I was working with different producers and stuff, even before I was signed to the label, I didn't really know what kind of music I wanted to make. I knew what kind of music I liked listening to. Like I always really loved R&B and jazz, but I didn't know exactly how to put my own spin on it. And because I had so much free time during COVID, it changed the way I wrote because I finally found my niche and I found my genre, and it really helped me to like experiment and find that place I just kept going back to and felt really comfortable in when it came to genre and writing and stuff. And also lyrically, I wrote a little bit about the pandemic, but I didn't really want to be like a broken record about it because no one wants to think about what's going on. Music should be an escape from reality and not something that makes you like, ah, I'm freaking out about this even more. So, yeah, I think the main thing that COVID changed about the way I wrote was figuring out who I am as an artist. Yeah.
Any chance you'll ever record a jazz album?
I would love to do that. I was telling my boyfriend about this the other day. My main goal in life when I'm like 40 is to be one of those ladies who like sits on a piano with like a martini and sings like songs with Tony Bennett if he's still around
Oh,
30
Tony
years.
Bennett will still be around. Now, I'll tell you something.
Oh yeah.
I've interviewed him several times. I hope to God you get to meet him because
Oh
he
my
is a
God.
genuine soul. Actually, if you go on, it should still be up there. If you ever type in my name and his name, there should be a picture up there
Uh-huh.
of him and I together.
I am freaking out. I listened to Tony Bennett all the time when I was younger. My mom had a CD of his, and we would listen to it in the car. And also, Amy Winehouse and Tony Bennett worked together a lot,
Yeah.
and she was a huge influence of mine when I was younger. I think that was like the first album I ever got was Amy Winehouse, the Lioness Hidden Treasures
Yes.
album. So I can't believe you met Tony Bennett. Wow,
Yeah.
that's
You know what?
amazing.
I'm going to ask you this next question, I'm going to even see if I can find it. But let's talk about the new single. You have a new single out. Congratulations. What is the new
Well, not
single?
yet. Oh,
Wait,
depending
hold
on
on.
when
We
this
got
goes
to.
out.
I always like to say this. We have to make this official. What's the new single
Yes.
called, and what's the single about?
Dior. Okay. Sorry. Yes, it's almost out by the time this comes out, I don't know.
Yes.
But the new single is called Dior, and it is just a song about having fun and spending a lot of money and imagining if I was like a crazy rich lady with like a dog in my bag and flying private jets around the world because sometimes it's fun to imagine stuff, and that's what the song is about, really.
That okay, where did this old soul come from? Because from the story you just told me about with the piano and everything else, and where does that come from?
To be honest, I don't know. I think in a past life I was like an old like like Mae West type girl. I really don't really I really don't know where it comes from. But it wasn't just me writing the song. I wrote the song with the incredible Louise Burns and Parker Bosley, and the three of us, we just wanted to make something fun because there was a lot going on in the world when we wrote this song. So just wanted to do something different and show everybody how much fun we have when we're all together. I think that comes through in the song. Well, hopefully it does.
Now you mentioned about an album. What's the album gonna sound like?
Well, I think Dior is a good like taste of the new direction I'm going in. I mean, this is definitely a lot more upbeat, but the next album is going to be really showcasing my early 90s and late 90s R&B influences because I feel like there's not enough of that right now. And I also do want to incorporate a lot more jazz and a lot more showing of my vocal abilities because in the last record I was younger and I started doing vocal training when I was like 16, and I feel like now I've improved a lot more, so I want to give it a little more like and so that's what people can expect, and probably a lot of stuff, a lot of lyrics about me moving away from home because sometimes I have sad girl hours and I just want to
Uh,
write about that. Yeah.
what are we looking at as we're going into the end of 2021, going into 2022? What are we looking at for shows, virtual or live? What's going to happen here?
Yeah, so we are trying to set up some shows in Toronto. There'll be a lot of info about that on my Instagram. So if you want to follow me at Molly Annelle or underscore Molly Annelle, that would be great. But before I moved here, I played a show at Guilt and Company, which is a really sweet bar in Vancouver. So when I go back there for the summer, I'm gonna try and play some more gigs there. But yeah, towards the end of this year, I think people can just expect Dior to knock their socks off, and hopefully, you know, they'll be streaming it through the holiday season.
Now, I want to get to the holiday season. Now, I'm not sure if I can show you it or not. It took me a little bit. I just got to try to get the glare out. But
Oh my
there's me with
God.
longer hair, and there's Tony Bennett, and there we are. I'm holding up his album. So just so you
Oh
know,
my
just
God.
yeah, I'll show it up closer. So there you go. So you know I'm not,
Wow.
making up the story.
That is, I mean, I believed you, but now I super believe you. That is amazing. I love Tony Bennett.
I've had the honor to interview him a couple of times. Like I said, great, great guy. You mentioned about the holidays coming up. What is going on with you the holidays? Any chance of maybe a surprise Christmas song or something like that? Or
Not this year,
Mhm.
but I do have my Winter Wave song, which came out last year, I believe, or in 2019. Oh my God. If it was that long ago, that would be crazy. But no, yeah, Winter Waves will be making a resurgence. There will be no new Christmas songs, but there will be some other Christmas content. So people can keep an eye on that. I think I am the most enthusiastic Jewish person about Christmas in the world.
I love
I
that.
love Christmas.
Well, what's the
I
song
am very,
about?
yeah.
What's the song about?
Winter Waves?
Yeah.
I think Winter Waves is it's just like a classic holiday song, you know.
Hmm.
It's about being with the people you love or wanting to be with the people you love around the holidays. It's really just the usual warm, cozy, I want to be with you. but I'm here, I'm so far away, you know?
Because I don't
So
think I know that song. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
yeah, absolutely. You totally should. We made like a really fun video for it too. So
Okay, well, I'm going to look all that stuff up. As we head
yes.
into 2022, I've been asking a lot of artists this because, as you know, when the pandemic started, people were like, oh, I want to get to, 2020. We get to 2020. They're like, oh, God, I want to get to 2021. And we get to 2021. They're like, please, I want to get to
Like
2022 now.
yeah.
What
Mhm.
advice can you give folks out there? Because we've all had a tough time, and they're always looking at the next year is going to be even better, and it maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. What
Mhm.
advice can you give? Just to sort of help maybe ease the road into it.
Yeah, so this is something I tell myself a lot, and it's when you wake up in the morning, you have a choice. And that choice is I could be negative about everything going on. I could not accept the things that I can't change, and I could just bring myself and other people down. Or you could wake up and say, look, there's stuff happening in the world that I have no power over, but what I can do and what I do have power over is my outlook and what I provide to the people around me and how I can make myself and others happy. And, you know, it's really up to you. Your outlook is your choice. So that would be my biggest piece of advice because that's helped me through a lot of times. Like you have the power to choose how you're going to feel about something. So,
Very, very wise. I love that. Thank you so
yeah.
much for doing this interview with me. Congratulations on the new
Thank
single.
you.
I'm looking forward to all the
Mhm.
stuff that you're going to be doing in the future. And, let's cross fingers that, when things really get safe and whatever, hopefully the next interview we do, it'll be in person. Thank you
I
again.
hope so.
And in case we don't get a chance to talk, all the best for you towards the end of 2020, 2020, yeah,
Mhm.
2020, no, 2021. I don't even know where I am
21.
anymore. And all
Me
the best
either.
for you for 2022. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you. Thank you so much.